Okay, I've just gotten back from the film while writing this, probably a day after while editing this script and video, so I'm right off the heels of watching the movie, and oh my god, it is amazing. Screw what the critics say, audience score is the only correct score you gotta look at for this film, and even then, just watch it in theaters yourself. This is a love letter to the fans and a pretty good movie, although it isn't without its flaws. Now, let's get right into it. This movie is pretty much what most of us in the community wanted from a FNAF movie. A nice, more mystery than horror and gore filled movie with awesome practical effects and kills. It did go by a little quick in some areas, and I think if it was given a little longer of a runtime, it could have helped with some of the pacing. The third act just sort of happens with weird connections back to the first part of the movie, namely William coming in at the end. He just sort of appears and revealed as the counselor without any prior build-up aside from him recognizing Mike's name in the first act and then acting weirdly about him working at Freddy's afterwards, which I totally think is him realizing that Mike is his son who was taken by his wife, but that's more theory territory than review. The rumor of a 3-hour cut and the stuff that was cut that I'm hearing on Twitter definitely leads to there being more than we were shown, so I definitely hope we see more of that in the future. The opening titles were really nice. They evoke the dread and horror that you should feel for the events that happened in Freddy's in a way that quickly catches up anyone who doesn't know what happened, but not in a gory, over-the-top way. A lot of the kills were really tastefully done. The only one that was over the top, I suppose, was Max's, but to be honest, it wasn't the worst thing out there, and I was actually quite surprised with what they showed with it. Springlock's team was great to actually see, and while I think more could have been shown, it really worked well with the rating and what they were going for. There were Easter eggs galore. I loved that they put fucking Sparky the dog in there. Like, what? Why him? It also seems that Bot was a Springlock suit, so he could have been just another old suit that Freddy's used after the, quote,
after learning of an unfortunate incident at the sister location involving multiple and simultaneous Springlock failures.
But that's just a theory. Which, speaking of that, cameos were great. Matt Pats might be a little over the top, but it's exactly what everyone thought it would have been, and it was pretty funny. Corey did well too, and the credits song was also just great to hear in the movie. I do wonder about the baby-looking animatronic. It looks a little more like Ella from the books, who was one of Charlie's robots, made by Henry. And the fact that Abby was being thrown into that robot is just such a reference to Abby being baby. However, we get Vanessa as the girl Afton kid, which I'm interested in, but I'll get to that later. Connections to the games were of course everywhere. Balloon Boy showing up like 3 times, the opening titles being like the 8-bit mini games, the many other game tie-ins like Chica's Magic Rainbow, the It's Me, it's just so much. The puppet song being used in the credits are totally referencing it showing up later or its influence sometime in the future or even this movie, because apparently it might be in the background somewhere, but I'm not 100% sure on that. The ties to the books are also very strong. A lot of the plot beats came straight from the novel trilogy, but especially the first book, which makes sense as Scott said that the books were really just made to have something to base the movie off of. I also want to bring up the Golden Freddy spirit. They are totally making sure people know that the Vengeful Spirit is the 5th kid, the one inside Golden Freddy. It is Cassidy. It was the one who locked William in the back room while he was being springlocked. It's the only one talking to Mike in the dream as it did with the logbook along with Crying Child. The hair matches the style and color of the one you should not have killed from Ultimate Custom Night. Just further backing up that the Vengeful Spirit is Golden Freddy's spirit, which we know to be Cassidy. Yes, these are different timelines, but come on. This is just further connection from Scott that these two are the same. This is what it is. The lore is being solidified here, but also changed. I do find it interesting that Vanessa is Afton's kid. We all sort of assumed Abby is a parallel to Baby, which is sort of hinted at by her being put into the baby Ella-looking Springlock suit, but no, Vanessa is, as of right now, the only child of Afton. Now, I do think William knows who Mike is. Mike is his son, and the reason he took Garrett might have been trying to get back at his wife or just getting one of his sons back or something. He looked at that name, recognized it, and immediately sent him to the pizzeria. There's some connection there. But Vanessa, I find it very interesting and wonder what the connections between all these characters are going to be. Again, Mike pretty much has to be William's son, just based off of how he looked at the last name and all the stuff talking with Mike. thus meaning Vanessa is Mike's sister, and Garrett could be related to both of them. And Abby could just be Mike's mom and stepfather's kid, although she has connections to the ghosts, especially Garrett, so maybe there's 4 Afton kids in the movie universe. Or maybe there's only 2. We'll hopefully find out soon in some sequels. I have a lot more thoughts on the movie that mostly pertain to theories, so not much for a review I could really talk about here. If you would like me to get into my theories on how Mike and Afton are connected, the spirits and how they all interact, and the many of the connections to the broader lore and how this helped clarify some things, let me know by liking and commenting. I don't know how well this video or that type of video would do on my channel, as I'm mostly Thomas related, but that's why I got Doctor Who, Transformers, and more in my intro and banner, and why William is in my Thomas series. I got more than just Thomas here to talk about. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.